Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me today. Now, on Thursdays, I usually do buy-sell, but with trade season in the rearview mirror in almost all leagues, I decided to switch it up a little bit. Now, last week, I did a buy-sell review of my weeks 5 and 6. It got mixed reviews, didn't really get much traction, so what do? We try something else. I decided instead to do something that everybody loves, power rankings. I thought it would be fun to go from 32 all the way up to number 1 and really talk through a playoff scenario for the teams that applies to, and for those that are out of the running right now, what their end of season looks like and what they can look forward to in the future. If this is content that you guys enjoy, please like the video and also leave me comments down below, because I want to make sure I am bringing content to you guys that is valuable, that you can enjoy. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. Please like and subscribe. The support means everything to me. It helps me out so much on my pursuit to the journey of 100 subscribers. I'm almost to 75. We're working our way up. If you have any start or sit questions, drop those on one of my ranking videos. You can drop it here too. Whatever works for you, I would love to get back and help you out. With that all said, done, and out of the way, let's get into week 14's power rankings. Now, how I decided to do my power rankings is I wanted to take a look at where I feel teams are right now. Not over the last couple weeks, not here moving into the future, where they're at in week 14. I am going to give some outlooks on what their playoffs look like, but I didn't take that a ton into account as far as where I have them on this list. We are going to start at the bottom and work our way to the top. I think that's the best way to do it, to build up a little anticipation. All the way down at number 32, the bottom of the barrel, it is the Houston Texans. And we certainly don't have time to go over all the issues that are living in Houston right now, but we know this. The first chip that has to fall is the Deshaun Watson situation. Once that is figured out, maybe the Texans can move forward and start rebuilding this thing. Wholesale changes are going to need to happen, and they are coming, and it's likely to start at the top. Whoever is calling the shots next year has a lot of work cut out for them. The Jacksonville Jaguars are number 31, and the play of Trevor Lawrence could certainly be worse, but maybe not by much. There is hope for next year. However, when you get those playmakers back, you have the return of Travis Etienne, DJ Chark should be coming back from injury, and James Robinson has already proven that he is a stud. I am going to give Urban Meyer one more year and the benefit of the doubt to see what his regime can bring in year 2. Clawing their way up to number 30, it is the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions got that big dub last week, and they climb out of the cellar, but that is likely the biggest win that they get all year. The Jared Goff rental situation has been an absolute disaster, and it's likely they cut ties with him after this season. I don't care what that dead cap hit is. Whichever quarterback that they decide on, new weapons on the outside has to be a priority for this team. They couldn't threaten anyone, except my Vikings, of course, this past season. Back-to-back teams from the city of New York are next, and we're going to start with the New York Jets at number 29. The Zach Wilson pick is going to be compared to the other 5 passers taken in the first round for years to come. It's clearly too early to make any calls, but you can't really say that it's been encouraging thus far. What has been is the play of Michael Carter and Elijah Moore. Those 2 studs are going to be a key piece of what Wilson can do for years forward and really help in his development. I love their head coach, Robert Saleh. I think he has done a decent job, and he should get better next year. Moving on to 28, it is the New York Giants. Same city, same turnover necessary, different questions for this New York team. I am not sure if Joe Judge is going to get another year to prove his worth, but it is clear that there needs to be extreme roster turnover in this situation. Daniel Jones has done nothing to prove that he is the guy, as his inconsistencies and now his issues with availability are clearly coming to the forefront. Out of my rebuild section and into my just plain poor teams, at number 27, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Now, big changes could definitely be coming in Seattle. There are a lot of unknowns surrounding Russell Wilson, considering his biggest ask this past offseason was fixing that offensive line, which is still not even close to being done. Injuries were a massive deterrent for this team, but either way, it was an incredible letdown season for the Hawks, who many thought were playoff bound when we started it. In at number 26, I have the Chicago Bears, who are likely going to be in the market for a new head coach after the Matt Nagy debacle reached new heights. Between the offense's ineptitude and the lack of cohesion and decision making, especially when we talk about the game's most critical position, it is a near certainty. The good news here is that Chicago has found their quarterback. Now they just need to build some competency around him. Moving on to 25, it is the New Orleans Saints, who are currently on a 5-game skid that will likely mercifully end with a matchup this week against the Jets. They are beyond a long shot to make the playoffs and will spend the offseason looking far and wide for a real quarterback, sorry Taysom Hill, who can actually help them win football games. It was too tall of a task with this thin of a roster to get through the injuries that they sustained. Moving on to 24, it is my Minnesota Vikings, and it was another year, another letdown. The Vikings have had far too many close games, and they weren't able to finish them, and they one-upped themselves with an epic fail loss to Detroit in true Viking style. It is time for a fresh start in Minnesota, and I cannot imagine that Mike Zimmer finds a way to convince ownership that he is still the guy after this season. Injuries destroyed them, there's no doubt about that, but defense is Zim's calling card, and Minnesota has one of the worst in the league. Oh, and in case you were wondering, no, the Vikings aren't making the playoffs. The Atlanta Falcons are in the 23rd spot, and not even Atlanta knew what they wanted to do coming into this season after passing up on a quarterback to draft a tight end and then simultaneously trading away Julio Jones. Now, the latter of that turned out to be a good call, but the Falcons have an absolute mess of a roster and a lot of work to do in the offseason. Cordero Patterson's emergence is a huge thing that they can hang their hat on. Moving on to 22, it is the Carolina Panthers, and their once promising season has gotten away from them. Unfortunately, with that injury to CMC, it was probably inevitable, and the Jet version of Sam Darnold coming out certainly didn't help matters. This defense, though, is still elite, and they have playmakers at every level. But the quarterback situation, it needs to be figured out, and they have to hope for some better availability from one of the best backs in the game. Into my playoff hopefuls tier, and it starts at 21 with the Denver Broncos, who are facing an uphill battle the rest of the way and are going to need a very impressive run against some solid teams to be able to make the tournament. I do not like their chances, but with wins against Dallas and the Chargers in their last 4, it's certainly not impossible. They're set up to do whatever they need to do next year, so the arrow is pointing up. The Eagles of Philadelphia round out my top 20, and they have stormed back after a horrendous 2-5 start to win 3 out of their last 4, but it's probably too late for him. Jalen Hurts is an absolute weapon with his legs, but a giant question mark with his arm. That said, the Gardner Minshew debate is absolute hogwash. Hurts needs more time, and he deserves it. The Eagles will come up short in their playoff push, but have plenty of answers that they need to find in the offseason. At 19, I have the Cleveland Browns, who let some wins get away early in the season, and it looks like it's going to come back to bite them late. Their formula at the time seemed sound until the defense underperformed and all of their running backs went down one way or another. The decision on Baker is looming, and unless they can get him for a decent hometown discount, I think they need to move on. The year's most disappointing team for my money, I think Cleveland misses the postseason and has to think about plenty of what-ifs as they wait. The Las Vegas Raiders are in next at 18, and Vegas has lost 4 of 5, and if the wheels haven't fully come off just yet, they will against the Chiefs this week. After a tumultuous situation in the middle of the year, it was pretty predictable. They still have a shot with matchups against every single one of the AFC contenders to finish the season, but I would be flabbergasted if they're able to pull it off. The Miami Dolphins are on a meteoric rise, and they find themselves here at 17. With 5 straight wins and games against the Jets and the Saints on deck, Miami could realistically get over 500 in 2021. What a crazy world that we live in. I do not like their chances to get to the playoffs, of course, but their defense is on fire, and Tua is proving doubters, haters, and just plain mean people wrong game by game. Jalen Waddle is a stud. Mike Gesicki has been a revelation. Now Miami just needs a running back, an O-line, and a time machine that could have kept them from a 1-7 start. As we start wading deeper into the playoff potential waters, At 16, it gets interesting with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, San Fran has won 3 out of 4, but they really would have loved to get that game against the Hawks. They're going to need at least one upset now to get in, most likely, and some help from Jimmy Garoppolo. The running game has been stellar, but they cannot manage their way to the playoffs with Cincy, Tennessee, and the Rams upcoming. Next up, at 15, we find the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're just lucky to be here. Pittsburgh is hanging on by a thread. They're losers of 3 of 5 with a tie to Detroit. Oh wait, what's that? They beat the Bears? Are you sure? No, I am not going to let it go. In all seriousness, the Steelers have an extremely difficult schedule up ahead, and their offense has not had the firepower to hold up. There's only hope here because that defense might have finally gotten healthy enough to keep them in it. If they do get a playoff spot, it's going to be because they earned it down the stretch. Moving on to 14, it is Washington's football team. And they are winners of 4 straight. The football team has found a recipe for success. Their defense has come around, and while they aren't the top dogs that we all thought they were going to be in the preseason, they are making big strides. The Chase Young loss is killer. The hole looked too deep to climb out of, but if the triple threat of Antonio Gibson, Scary Terry McLaurin, and Mr. Bud Lighty can get hot, they can get it done. They alternate between Dallas and Philly in their next 4 before finishing the year off with a date with the Giants, so it's very possible that this Cinderella story has a happy ending. Of the question marks in the NFC playoff picture, I like the football team's chances the best. I have the Indianapolis Colts in at 13, and after being left for dead midway through the season, the Colts are a scary team to play right now. Winners of 4 of 5. Their defense has been absolutely ferocious, and their offense has basically consisted of handing the ball to number 28 and letting him pound the defense into submission. Carson Wentz has been solid, not spectacular, but that's all they need from him behind a stellar offensive line. With a monster matchup against New England, Arizona, and Vegas in their next 3, it will not be easy to complete this turnaround. Into my third tier of solid teams, I start at 12 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, if Cincinnati could figure out how to stop shooting themselves in the foot, they could be pushing for a top seed. Instead, turnovers in critical moments have cost them dearly. This offense is good enough to score with anybody, but it's not going to matter if they can't protect possessions. They'll have to earn their playoff spot with contenders on tap the rest of the way. I think Burrow cleans up his interception issue enough to make it happen. Moving on to number 11, it is the Los Angeles Chargers, who can look absolutely stellar one week and fall completely flat the next. A lot of that comes from the play of quarterback Justin Herbert. Now, when he is on and things are working out, he looks like one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league. But when it's not, things can go sideways really quickly for this team. LA will go as far as Herbert takes them. If they can't figure out a way to stop the run like they did against Cincinnati, it is going to be a tough ending to the season. The first team in my top 10 is the Tennessee Titans, and injuries in key places have absolutely crippled Tennessee, and it remains to be seen if they're going to be able to overcome them. Their schedule moving forward is fairly light. They're hoping that that is enough. Ryan Tannehill has more pressure on him than he has been able to carry, so they need that defense to rise up and hope that some playmakers get healthy soon. Right now, Tennessee is treading water, and they're hoping for a life raft. Up next, at number 9, I have the Buffalo Bills, and the target on the Bills' back has certainly taken its toll. The Bills have alternated wins and losses since week number 5. If they cannot keep that streak going against Tampa Bay this week, they're going to end up being just 1 win over 500 with 4 to go. Josh Allen needs to get this offense humming once more, and the running game needs to exist in some way, shape, or form. They are too talented on that side of the ball to be struggling so mightily. Now, losing Tre'Davious White certainly hurts, but this defense is going to keep them in it. The Dallas Cowboys are in at 8, and they have lost 2 of 3, but their defense has looked great the majority of the year. Kudos to Dan Quinn, the DC, on that one. Micah Parsons is the truth and the defensive rookie of the year by a landslide. The offense, surprisingly, has been the issue. Inconsistent quarterback play is gonna kill you, and Dak has not looked the same since he returned from that calf injury. With Zeke banged up, it's going to be up to Tony Pollard to elevate, and I think that he can. Outside of Arizona in the next 4 weeks, it's division battles from here on out, and it's there for the taking for the Cowboys. I have the Baltimore Ravens next. They are my 7th ranked team, and the Ravens are so banged up that my concern is eventually it is going to catch up with them. Maybe it already has. They need more from Lamar Jackson through the air, and that just has not happened. He has been far too prone to boneheaded mistakes, trying to do too much, and his accuracy has been inconsistent. Their final stretch is absolutely brutal, and it's going to show if I'm overreacting here or there really is trouble brewing in Baltimore. My 3rd great team at number 6, it is the Los Angeles Rams. And with losses in 3 out of their last 4, this is probably too aggressive of a ranking for the Rams, but I just believe in the roster, the coach, the quarterback, and the playmakers on both sides of the ball. The Rams have undoubtedly struggled to put it together all at once, but I have faith that they will. Matthew Stafford is on a mission, and Cooper Kupp is the game's best receiver right now. They can lock you down on the outside with Jalen Ramsey, and they can pressure you for days up front. They are scary good. They just need to show it down the stretch. The first team in my top 5 is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they really took quite a winding road to get where everyone thought they were going to be in December, which is pushing for the number 1 overall seed. With 5 straight wins, they are one of the hottest teams in football, and it's been surprisingly the defense that has helped carry them there, with a sloppy Mahomes finally starting to potentially turn a corner. If this offense can get hot, watch out. They'd suddenly become a complete team. With playoff contenders on the schedule from here on out, their work is far from done. With an impressive 7-game winning streak all the way up at number 4, it is the New England Patriots. And in the sorriest win that I have witnessed in a long time, New England showed everyone why they are the threat in the AFC. Against the league's best rushing defense coming in, the Patriots absolutely refused to throw the ball, and they succeeded. They are built to win playoff football. They pound the rock behind a stellar offensive line. They play incredibly fast, smart, disciplined defense, and they do not turn the ball over. They also have like the best coach in NFL history. The only question mark is, what does Mac Jones look like come playoff time? And after the way they embarrassed Buffalo, is it actually gonna matter? Moving into my top 3, and the first team I have is the Green Bay Packers, and that defense has been stellar and is the main reason that the Packers cruise through the middle of their schedule. The loss to my Vikings is perplexing to say the least, but they were able to follow that up with a huge win against LA. With a win over Arizona in their back pocket as well, they hope for a slip up because no one outside of Baltimore in their next run is going to give them any issues. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in at 2. Packers, schmackers, give me the GOAT over COVID toe. Thank you very much. The defending champs sputtered a month ago, but have won 3 straight games and will run the table if they can get past the Bills this week. Getting healthy on defense is certainly going to help, but with Brady at the controls, this offense might just outscore everyone anyway. My final elite team, the Super Bowl favorites, in at number 1 is the Arizona Cardinals. The league's most dangerous team may be getting healthy offensively at the right time, as Kyler Murray, Nuke Hopkins, and now Chase Edmonds have all dealt with injuries over the last month. Supported by an ascending defense that has kept them afloat, they have all the pieces for a deep playoff run. With matchups against the Rams, Colts, and Cowboys in their next 4, they have a chance to solidify their place. And that will do it for my very first Power Rankings video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please comment down below if I strayed, if you disagree with where a team was placed, or whatever. Let's get the conversation going. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe. The support means everything to me. It helps me out a ton as I continue to battle for my first 100 subscribers. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opatz, and we'll see you next time.